Imagine that all of the United States of America, with our diverse religious preferences and practices, were just 100 people. The Pew Research Center for Religion and Public Life has done exactly that. So here's what America looks like according to them. About 6% of America would be non-Christian faiths: Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, or Hindu. About 23% of America would be unaffiliated: atheist, agnostic. That number's actually down a bit from a few years ago. And about 70% of America would call themselves some type of Christian: Protestant, Catholic, Orthodox, or otherwise. So maybe it's news to you that there's a 7 out of 10 chance that the people in your workplace or neighborhood would think of themselves as Christian. Interesting. But now, look a little closer. We can probably all agree that 70% of America is not heading off to church on Sundays. So how many are cultural or nominal Christians, and how many are active attenders? Again, the numbers are not precise, and the reason is what's called the halo effect. The halo effect is what people do when they exaggerate in reporting their actual behavior because it sounds good. Sort of like asking your kid how many hours they spent on homework this week. So some will say as much as 35% of America worships regularly. But after we factor that halo effect, we get closer to between 17 and 22% of America in worship more than, let's say, one time a month. That means about 50% of America identifies as Christian, but we would say they are de-churched or under-churched. They used to go, or maybe if they do go, it's only once or twice or a couple times a year. So consider this. About 50% of America, if pressed, would likely say they're Christian, but they just don't do the church routine. What's going on here? So those same folks at the Pew Research Center dug into that question in August of 2018 and released their insights. You can find it online, but here's the kicker. The two very common replies to why Christians don't worship were either we worship God on our own, picture somebody communing with God out on a lake somewhere, or we haven't found a church that we like. And you say, what's not to like about our church? So, what does all this really mean? Well, that's ultimately for you and your congregation to decide. It certainly means something for how I personally relate to my neighbor. The questions I ask, what I listen for, and maybe what I could expect in a faith conversation. It also means something for my congregation, and how we choose or how we don't choose to be in relationship with the America that's just outside our doors. Think about it.